We're having good talks. We started with Russia. We're having some talks with Russia. Ukraine is doing well. I think they're pretty happy about it. They'd like to see it end. And we won't know for a little while, but we're making progress.
Welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Wednesday, November the 26th, 2025. One of the busiest, if not the busiest, travel days of the entire year. President Trump aboard Air Force One last night, commenting on the Russia-Ukraine war negotiations as he and the First Lady traveled home to Palm Beach for a long Thanksgiving holiday weekend.
They're talking to Russia now. Steve Witkoff is going over, maybe with Jared. I'm not sure about Jared going, but he's involved in the process. Smart guy, and they're going to be meeting with President Putin, I believe, next week in Moscow.
Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, were both in Geneva with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. We'll get into that in a little bit with Greg Kelly. The president also said his administration will continue working to prosecute former FBI Director James Comey after the dismissal of his indictment this week.
They got out on a technicality, and you'll see what happens from here on. But if you look at the actual charges, I think anybody that looks at it very fairly would say, boy, are they guilty. So let's see what happens over the next week. You know, the court didn't say you couldn't bring the case, re-bring the case, or appeal the case.
We get more from Sean Kreisman, co-host of National Report.
The Trump administration is vowing to do this: appeal a ruling throwing out its cases against James Comey and Letitia James. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt claiming the federal judge who made the ruling is protecting Comey and protecting James. The judge ruling that U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, that's Lindsay Halligan, was not lawfully appointed, and therefore these cases could not move forward. Trump administration officials, of course, are pushing back against that, saying Halligan is legally allowed to serve and is qualified for the position. National correspondent Logan Raddick live with more on the DOJ's legal strategy moving forward and really how much is left of this strategy. Logan, good morning.
Sean, good morning. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt and Attorney General Pam Bondi say the DOJ will appeal those rulings that were made by Clinton-appointed District Judge Cameron McGowan Curry of South Carolina. But those rulings were made without prejudice, which means they can be refiled and reindicted with another federal prosecutor. Now, while Comey's case is a 5-year statute of limitations, James does not, and Judge Curry says she dropped the cases because interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan exceeded her 120-day limit. Newsmax senior judicial analyst Andrew Napolitano says some of Halligan's other indictments could be deemed invalid.
The DOJ will surely appeal this decision because they want Lindsay Halligan there. But while they're appealing it, they should simply just re-indict Letitia James, and then the opinion with respect to Letitia James is moot. Mm-hmm. The serious problem they have is Comey, because, as I indicated, they cannot re-indict him.
And White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt telling reporters that she expects the DOJ will win its appeal.
Lindsay Halligan was legally appointed, and that's the administration's position. I know there was a judge who is clearly trying to shield Letitia James and James Comey from receiving accountability, and that's why they took this unprecedented action to throw away the indictments against these two individuals. But the Department of Justice will be appealing very soon.
Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi says that along with an appeal, the DOJ is looking at all available legal action. And regarding Comey, DOJ officials tell Newsmax that even though the statute of limitations would have run out had he never been indicted, they believe he will be able to be re-indicted within a 6-month period from when those initial charges were filed. Sean?
Interesting points made. Logan Raddick joining us with that. Logan, thank you.
Thank you.
National Report with Sean Kreisman and Emma Reckenberg begins at 9 a.m. Eastern, right after Wake Up America. Typically runs until noon, but today Newsmax is hosting its annual Troopathon special beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern. Try and check that out. Speaking of the FBI, White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson also denies any rumors that the president is interested in replacing FBI Director Kash Patel. Rumors mainly circulated by MSNBC or MS Now. And I said we would hear more about the Russia-Ukraine negotiations with retired Marine Greg Kelly, so here we go.
Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
How beautifully refreshing and so rare. Presidents, they start wars, they prolong wars. President Trump wants to end a war and many wars, and he has incredible momentum now. It looks like peace could be at hand between Ukraine and Russia. Are we getting there? So this plan that came out a few days ago, it was like 28 points. They've narrowed it down to 19-point, a 19-point Ukraine peace plan. And the details are a little bit complicated. However, Zelensky is on board. Zelensky likes it, which was very, very tough. And after all, if this war ends, he'll have to stand for an election, which he hasn't in a long time. Now they're going to work on Putin. Look, I think it's great. I'm sick of that war. And President Trump has staked, his reputation. He's not afraid to risk looking bad. Here he is at the Vatican with Zelensky, right, making the case for peace. And here he is, of course, with Vladimir Putin. It's incredible. Only he could do this. And this is how he said he would do it. I just love this. Listen carefully to what he says here. The strategy, it sounds very cool and very doable. And actually, maybe only he could do it. Check it out.
I will get them into a room and they will, and I know an exact way. Number one, you tell one, you're not going to get anything unless you make a deal. You tell the other one, they're going to get a lot unless you make a deal. And you just sit them and you put them in, and you have to make a determination.
Just do it. Okay, I know it hasn't happened in a day or a week or a month. It was worth trying. There's momentum. He wants it over. Joe Biden, it didn't seem like he wanted it over, did he? No. He was just kind of content there.
And all of the people who covered for President Biden and never once talked about ending the war in Ukraine are now complaining about Trump not doing it fast enough, complaining about how he's doing it, how he isn't doing it, and who said what. They're even attacking Steve Witkoff. This is former RNC chair and North Carolina Senate candidate Michael Whatley on Newsline with Bianca De La Garza.
Potential for peace. Now, with Ukraine accepting this deal, this is a major development. And obviously, President Trump's way and fashion of diplomacy has not always been understood, but it is effective in many wars.
One of President Trump's legacies is definitely going to be that he is a peacemaker. And when you talk about 8 different wars that he's already brought people to the table and been able to solve, all of those are significant. If he is able to actually get Russia and Ukraine to the table and get this resolved, that will be very, very significant. And the fact is the president has been very serious about this, throughout the entire campaign last year and throughout his entire second term here about making sure that he is going to get everybody to the table and bring peace to the world.
And I love it, too, because, you've worked so closely with the president, Michael, and, the fact they were trying to say, oh, this is Putin's plan. And, President Trump is not a pushover. And, to get people to a negotiating table when both sides hate each other, this is not an easy feat. And to have some success, to have some real movement there, I think is incredible to some of the naysayers who didn't think President Trump was as close as he was, especially after Anchorage. So very exciting to have that news breaking today as we come on the air. Another news that is breaking, we had a reaction now after the Department of War is looking into Mark Kelly, the Arizona senator, and launching an investigation potentially for a court-martial after that viral video where he, other senators and Congress members are out there saying you must defy illegal orders, then can't name one. I want to play a little bit of his response, of course, on MS Now of what he says this investigation is about, and get your reaction on the other side.
I said something that was pretty simple and non-controversial, and that was that members of the military should follow the law. And in response to that, Donald Trump said I should be executed, I should be hanged, I should be prosecuted. I think it says a lot more about him than it says about me. He doesn't want accountability. But, Rachel, I'm not going to be silenced. I'm not going to be intimidated.
He said something simple. I mean, people say what he did, and Congress is looking into maybe what they could do about this outside of Department of War. In this climate where people are discussing, President Trump with such negativity, to try and seed that type of issue with our military, some of them very young and impressionable, and also thinking that maybe they would get a political win out of it. Your reaction?
Trump derangement syndrome is very, very real in the Democratic Party. I mean, this video was completely unprovoked. It was completely uncalled for. And like you said, it's a political stunt. And Mark Kelly is going to get hammered on this back in his home state. There's no reason for any of the Democrats that were in this video to go out there and make this type of a statement, particularly as they've admitted there is absolutely no illegal orders that President Trump has given or is going to be giving.
Former RNC Chair Michael Whatley on Newsline with Bianca De La Garza. And don't forget North Carolina. A lot of people listen to this podcast in North Carolina. Whatley is running for Tom Tillis's Senate seat, which opened after Tillis announced his resignation earlier this year. And your former governor, Democrat Roy Cooper, is also running for that seat. On yesterday's NEWSMAXDaily, I said the president would be holding the traditional pardoning of the turkeys ceremony, and that I sense a joke.
He used an auto pen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid.
More from Rob Finnerty.
I just want to tell you this very important. You are hereby unconditionally pardoned.
That's a real turkey sound right there, too. That gobble was on cue. Donald Trump reminding us once again why he was elected last year and why he is, without question, the most unique individual to ever occupy the Oval Office. We always say this, and I'll say it again on Thursday in front of my liberal family from Massachusetts who are currently at my house, perhaps watching right now, who I love very much. Even if you hate Donald Trump, you have to admit he's a funny guy.
The turkeys being pardoned today go by the names of Gobble and Waddle. When I first saw their pictures, I thought we should send them, I shouldn't say this. I was going to call them Chuck and Nancy. But then I realized I wouldn't be pardoning them. I would never pardon those two people. I wouldn't pardon them. I wouldn't care what Melania told me. Darling, I think it would be a nice thing to do. I won't do it, darling.
Joe Biden just couldn't do that. Joe Biden didn't do that. He had a chance. Donald Trump makes people laugh. The difference, those same people were laughing at Joe Biden, not with him.
A man named Sleepy Joe Biden, he used an auto pen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid.
So it is okay to laugh every once in a while. We probably need a little bit more of that, especially this week, holiday week. Also the busiest travel week of the entire year. And we have two observations. The first, more people are expected to travel by air this Thanksgiving than ever before. And we mean ever. Think about that. And think about what that says about the health of the U.S. economy. If things were as bad as the New York Times says they are every single day, would a record number of people really be traveling by air for Thanksgiving? Think how expensive that is. And today was the busiest air travel day of the entire year, 52,000 flights today alone. And our transportation secretary had just one request of people that no one else seemed to pick up on yesterday, but we did.
I think, again, I call this just maybe dressing with some respect. Whether it's a pair of jeans and a decent shirt, I would encourage people to maybe dress a little better, which encourages us to maybe behave a little better. Let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport.
My grandmother would love this. So fine, it's not a suit and tie like it was in the old days, but what happened to that? And when did we become just such slobs? If we're really entering the golden age once again, airplane etiquette should be at the top of the list.
I did call it, right? Don't miss Finnerty tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. Last week, I featured the video released by Transportation Secretary Duffy encouraging people to behave better on flights and at the airport and to dress better. Which got me thinking, the very first time I went on a plane was with my grandparents. I guess I was about 10 or 11 years old from what I can remember, but I do remember my grandfather wearing a suit. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you've heard me complain about people going out to eat breakfast in their pajamas or grocery shopping in pajamas with the fuzzy slippers and all that. I'm in Florida, right? People wear shorts and sandals to church. I mean, you talk about the decline of society. And then at this point, it's like, well, okay, they're wearing shorts and sandals with their nasty feet sticking out in church, but at least they're going to church, right? That's what it's become. And as we all prepare for the big Thanksgiving feast, Carl Higbie has a look at the cost of food and your holiday meal.
Inflation also coming in lower than expected today, despite the Chicken Little sky is falling from all the Democrats on Trump's tariffs. So let's have a little fun with this, okay? We'll do them one by one. And since Thanksgiving is in 2 days, we'll do groceries first. This one is wildly false. From the same people who sat silently while food prices just exploded under Joe Biden are now saying that food prices over the last year have gone up 85%. Yeah, whatever you're smoking is definitely illegal. I actually looked, and I have no idea, even with like the most crazy extremes I could get, like I couldn't even get anywhere close to that number. In fact, according to the Farm Bureau, costs are down, like Trump said. They're showing a 5% decrease in the cost of Thanksgiving dinner. And for the people who are going to scream, that's not a legit source, someone actually went to the store and bought the exact same thing on the exact same receipt from last year. And
last year's Thanksgiving dinner, according to the American Farm Bureau, was $45.55 for all their items. And this year, for those exact same items, it came out to $37 even.
Receipts, literally. But where were all these people for the last 4 years? In fact, you remember how the Biden White House spun this at one point. Oh, the cost of 4th of July is down 16 cents from last year. Yeah, first off, 16 cents, thanks. But it was up like 30% before that.
It's like when the price of gas finally started going down during the Biden administration. Corinne Jean-Pierre, it went down 25 cents in the past month. Biden's bringing down prices. Yeah, after it went up $2 a gallon, double or more than double in some places. One of those people is California Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell. California, where, of course, gas is the most expensive in the entire country. Swalwell filed a lawsuit yesterday against William Pulte, the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, for violating his First Amendment rights and privacy by allegedly using a government database to, quote, concoct fanciful allegations of mortgage fraud against him. He says Pulte abused his position by using info from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to pull private mortgage records of him and other Democrats that he has accused of fraud, which include New York Attorney General Letitia James, Fed Governor Lisa Cook, you remember that, and Representative Adam Shifty Schiff. Swalwell has denied committing mortgage fraud, while Pulte says that the documents from his referrals are all part of the public record. And I saved the best for last. This will definitely hit you differently depending upon your age. But Rob Schmitt spoke with Vince the ShamWow guy, and the Chop These Nuts guy is running for Congress.
He's pledging to destroy wokeism and doing it as a tribute to the late Charlie Kirk. And he's looking to unseat 8-term, 84-year-old incumbent Republican Congressman John Carter, who's seeking re-election at 84 in a crowded primary for Texas's reliably red 31st district. And Vince Offer joins us tonight. Hey, Vince, good to see you. It's wild to meet you this way. I want to ask just why you're running for office. I remember the ShamWow. I remember the Chop, too. What was the Chop one you had? The Chop, yeah. That was a good one, too. So tell us why you want to get into politics.
Well, I mean, it's a long story, but, I did a skit called Woke Busters. It's a parody on Ghostbusters. I write a lot of skits. Actually, the commercials themselves are about our skits themselves, if you think about it. So I'm good at writing skits, and I did a Woke Buster. It took me 9 months to finish, and it was done the day Charlie passed. And I was like, what a coincidence. I'm like, okay, this is surreal. And then, it's okay. I said, I'll put it out on his birthday. And I did. And then a big tech, Google, YouTube stopped showing it. Didn't show it much. I only got like 500 views a day. Yet the other platforms were getting like 50,000 views a day. So I got millions of views on the other platform, nothing on YouTube and Google. So I'm thinking, oh, this is like discrimination. This is like a black guy going, in the 1940s going on the bus. Oh, you sit in the back of the bus. Or a Jewish person in the 30s, go in the alley and sell your product. Because I have comedy is my product, and I want to put it on YouTube, and I want to show it because that's why they exist, because of us.
Yeah. I mean, you're a great pitchman. I mean, that's a big part of politics. I mean, you might be one of the best I've ever seen. Those infomercials, you just can't stop watching them. Are you self-funding this thing? I assume you made some cash off of those products. You sold the hell out of those chamois.
Yeah, of course I'm self-funding, but next week I'll probably ask for donations. Yeah. If you don't mind, But the ShamWow.com. But yeah, I mean, we're going to need funds to fight this conglomerate. But one of my big policies is that they need to have open source algorithms, open source code, so we can see what they're doing, because they're suppressing conservative content and comedy that ridicules them. They're really suppressing, like putting it in the alley, not in the town square, but in the dark alley. So that's kind of like discrimination, and it's illegal.
Yeah. I want to ask you one final question. I was actually in Miami the same year as you were there, or some of them at least. You faced a little legal trouble. You had a run-in with a prostitute, 2009, never charged. It's going to come up as you debate your way through a crowded primary field. How do you respond to it?
I got a lot more skeletons than that. I mean, nothing really happened. It was just like I was 20 years ago. I used to regret it, but it's like, it put me in the right path. I just stopped I stopped partying like that. It was like not the right thing to do, and I became a better version of myself. Yeah.
Well, Miami will do that to you, so you got to get out of that town.
I'm not a good partier. I should have hung out with you or something. We'll probably have dinner or something. And thanks for the compliment for it, man. That made my night.
Of course.
Rob Schmitt, day, night. I'm going to have a good time tomorrow, too.
There you go. Vince Offer, the ShamWow guy. When I heard you were running, I was like, we got to talk to the ShamWow guy. It's good to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob. Hope we meet again. Thank you.
All right. Good luck to you. All right.
Rob Schmitt and I both really enjoyed that. I think Rob worked in Tampa for a while. I didn't know about Miami, but yeah, a lot can happen to you, good and bad, in Miami, especially 20, 25 years ago. Just ask Vanilla Ice. Yesterday, I mentioned news outlets and people nitpicking and looking for clickbait on Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt's personal life and Erica Kirk. You remember that? I specifically mentioned the hugging of J.D. Vance story, and then someone sent me a video of former MSNBC host Joyless Reed, who coincidentally is from Miami, and no coincidence, went on a racial tirade about how the MAGA VP is going to leave his wife for the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Erica Kirk because his wife is not white. That is exactly why she isn't on TV anymore, and exactly the kind of BS that I'm talking about. And after back-to-back winning sessions on Wall Street, the stock markets opened in the green this morning, helped out by a better-than-expected jobless claims number, 216,000, down from 222,000, and better than the 225,000 that analysts were expecting. They thought it would go up 3,000, meaning 3,000 more people would file for unemployment, and it actually went down 7,000. How do these people have jobs? I don't know. The market will be closed tomorrow for the Thanksgiving holiday, of course. Be sure to keep up with all of today's news and breaking developments on Newsmax, Newsmax 2, and at Newsmax.com. President Trump is at Mar-a-Lago, has no scheduled events on the White House calendar. The news starts every morning, 6 o'clock Eastern, with Alex Kramer on Wake Up America Early Edition, followed by Wake Up America National Report, Newsline at noon with Bianca De La Garza, all the way through Frontline with Carl Higbie at 6, Rob Schmitt tonight, Finnerty, Greg Kelly reports, and much, much more. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you, as always, for listening to the podcast. By the way, today is National Cake Day. Not chocolate cake, not carrot cake, not any specific cake, just cake day. So enjoy the cake of your choice and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.